Alright everyone, so right now when the knight gets damaged, if he takes enough hits, then we switch the costume so that he loses a piece of armor. The problem is when you get to the end of the costumes and there's no more graphics to switch to, there's just this end sequence here where the chainmail collapses. This isn't really set up to recognize that. What's happening is it's just kind of continuing in the same way, as if you can keep making costume changes forever. So we need something a little bit more complicated here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new block, call it lose armor, and then I'm going to take this out and put it in there, and then I'm just going to put this in there. And this is something we've done many times before. We basically haven't changed anything. We've just moved it out and given it its own name. So now what I want to do is I want to grab an if then else, and I want to say, look, if this is just one of the normal situations where he's lost some armor but he hasn't lost all his armor, then just do what you usually do. So in other words, if the costume number is less than what? The very last costume that he goes into before the chainmail collapses. So the very last costume ends at 144, and the block of costumes is of size 16, so if you knock 16 off 144, you get 128. That means 128 is the last of the previous block of costumes, and 129 is the first of the final block of costumes. So that's the number that we want. We want 129. So if costume number is less than 129, that means there's still another piece of armor to lose. So go ahead, move up by 16, lose that piece of armor. But if it's above 128, so if it's 129 or higher, then I want you to do something else. I want you to play the animation where you lose your chain vest. And this is where the chain vest is just going to drop off and splotch onto the ground. So lose chain vest goes here. Now, lose chain vest, it's going to switch the costume to the first of the collapsing vests. It's 145, collapse 1. And then we want to repeat a bunch of times next costume. How many times do you repeat it? Well, let's go count. So you start here. 1 change, 2 change, 3 change, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 phases to the collapse. So repeat it 7 times. One last thing, right here, now that your armor has been destroyed, it's time to set the armor to destroyed, and that will stop the armor taking any more hits and giving you points for it, and it will stop the knight, which is now just an empty suit of armor that's collapsed. It will stop the knight from hurting the wizard. Okay, let's play test that. Okay, I don't know why it resurrects at the end there, but it collapsed too quickly. So we're just going to put a weight in, just so that you can see the collapse a little bit better. After a little investigation, it seems clear that what's causing the suit of chainmail to regenerate halfway through being destroyed is the fact that the wizard is hitting it so quickly that a lot of signals are coming in here. And each of these signals tells Scratch to damage the knight and causes a fairly complex sequence of operations to occur. So you got to do all this, and then within lose armor, you got to do all this, and then you got the lose chain vest, and you got to do all this. And it takes time to do these things, and during that time, another zap can come in, and then that zap can cause the whole thing to reset, which causes this to happen again. And so halfway through this process where it was collapsing the costume, another signal comes in and regenerates the costume at the start point. I think the best way to fix this is to remove this from the interrupt and just have the interrupt schedule something. But I think we've already done enough in this video, so we're going to leave that until the next one. Thank you for listening, and if you find this video useful, please hit like and subscribe.